He got the raise, 30%. The kind of number that feels like a turning point, the moment when financial life finally starts moving in the right direction. He upgraded the apartment. Not extravagantly, just appropriately, the place he had always deserved. He upgraded the car. He started eating at better restaurants, joining the gym with the better equipment, taking the vacation he had been deferring. None of it felt like excess. All of it felt like reward. 18 months later, his savings rate was identical to what it had been before the raise. His net worth had moved by an amount that would embarrass him if he calculated it precisely, which is why he had stopped calculating it precisely. The income had doubled. The financial anxiety had not moved. This is not an unusual story. This is the default story, the predictable outcome of raising income without simultaneously building asset architecture. The lifestyle expands to fill the income increase with an efficiency that approaches automatic. No conscious decision is required, only the absence of a conscious decision to prevent it. Raising income makes your lifestyle more expensive. Building assets makes your life more free. One is a faster treadmill. The other is the exit from the treadmill entirely. Most people spend their entire careers confusing the two. The question is never how much you earn. The question is always how much of what you earn becomes something that earns for you. That gap between income flowing through and assets accumulating underneath is the only financial gap that determines whether you are building toward freedom or building toward a more expensive dependency. The income illusion, why more never feels like enough. The mechanism that keeps high earners financially fragile is not greed, not poor discipline, not a character flaw that therapy might address. It is a documented psychological process operating beneath the level of conscious decision-making, efficient, automatic, and perfectly calibrated to ensure that income increases translate into lifestyle increases rather than wealth increases. Hedonic adaptation is the process by which new conditions, once experienced rapidly, become the baseline against which everything is measured. The apartment upgrade delivers genuine satisfaction for approximately 3 months. Then the new apartment becomes the reference point, and the previous apartment, the one that was perfectly adequate before, now registers as insufficient rather than sufficient. The threshold for contentment has been moved upward permanently by the experience of better. This does not happen slowly. It does not require conscious intention. It happens automatically, universally, regardless of how clearly a person understands it is happening. The lifestyle ratchet operates alongside hedonic adaptation. With its own particular cruelty, it moves in one direction. Every upgrade establishes a new flaw that cannot easily be removed without experiencing it as loss rather than simply as change. Downgrade the apartment, and it feels like failure, not like intelligent resource reallocation. Keep the apartment, and the financial position it requires becomes the minimum viable condition for emotional stability. The ratchet does not click backward. Beneath these psychological mechanisms sits a structural confusion that most financial conversations never clearly resolve. Income and wealth are not the same category of thing at different magnitudes. They are different categories entirely. Income is the velocity of water moving through your hands. Wealth is the volume of water held in a container. You can have extremely high velocity and an empty container. You can have low velocity and a full container. The correlation between the two is much weaker than the language used to describe financial success implies, and the language implies they are nearly identical. The treadmill mathematics make this visible without requiring abstract reasoning. Person earning $100,000, spending $95,000, saves $5,000 per year. Receives raise to $150,000 lifestyle, expands to $140,000, saves $10,000 per year. Receives raise to $200,000 lifestyle, expands to $190,000, saves $10,000 per year. 3 significant income increases. Savings rate declining as percentage of income. Absolute savings negligible relative to income generated. This is not a hypothetical constructed to make a point. This is the median financial trajectory of an income-focused career without asset architecture. The raise arrived and the lifestyle expanded. The bonus arrived and the vacation upgraded. The promotion arrived and the neighborhood changed. The income went up and the savings rate stayed flat. The income went up and the financial anxiety stayed present. The income went up and the freedom stayed distant. More kept coming. Enough never did. Income without asset conversion does not produce wealth. It produces a more expensive version of the same dependency, one that requires more income to maintain and provides no more freedom than the cheaper version did. The precise distinction, what assets actually are. Before the architecture of asset building can be understood, the word itself must be stripped of the imprecision that surrounds it in most financial conversations. Most people use asset to mean something that has value. This definition is functionally useless for wealth-building purposes. The definition that matters is functional. An asset is something that generates value without requiring your continuous presence. Not something that is worth money. Something that makes money, repeatedly, independently, without asking for your time every time it does so. This definition draws a line through the middle of what most people call their assets. The house you live in has value, but it does not generate value. It consumes value through mortgage payments, property taxes, maintenance costs, and insurance. The car has value, but it consumes. Strip away the balance sheet value and look only at cash flow direction. Every genuine asset sends cash flow toward you. Everything else sends cash flow away. 4 categories of genuine assets exist, and each operates according to different mechanics. Financial assets. Equity, stakes, debt instruments, funds are capital deployed into vehicles that generate return through market mechanisms. They require no daily presence after the deployment decision. They compound independent of your schedule, your health, your mood, your availability. They are the most familiar category, and for most people, the most consistently underutilized. Treated as optional deployment of whatever income happens to remain after expenses, rather than as mandatory extraction before expenses occur. Business assets are ownership stakes in operations that generate profit independent of your daily labor. The distinction here is critical and widely misunderstood. A business that requires your presence every day to function is not a business asset. It is a job with additional administrative complexity. A business asset generates when the owner is not present through systems processes, and people operating a structure that the owner built but no longer needs to personally operate. Intellectual property assets, content courses, software patents, licensed methodologies are created once and generate value repeatedly. Each subsequent sale requires no additional creation time. The compound mechanism in IP is distribution. Broader distribution produces more revenue, which funds more creation, which produces broader distribution. Network assets are the least visible on any balance sheet and among the most consistently undervalued in financial planning. Trusted relationships with people who have access to information, capital, and opportunity before it reaches the general market constitute a genuine financial asset. The person who hears about the right opportunity 6 months before the market does is operating in a different financial reality than the person who encounters the same opportunity when everyone else does. Income requires your presence. Assets require your capital. Income stops when you stop. Assets continue when you stop. Income is rented to you by whoever pays you. Assets are owned by you, and ownership, unlike rental, compounds. An asset is not something that is worth money. An asset is something that makes money without asking for your time every time it does so. Machiavelli's balance sheet. How the prince distinguished flow from structure. Machiavelli did not write about personal finance. He wrote about something structurally identical. The difference between princes who depended on current revenue streams and princes who had converted revenue into durable structural advantages, and the catastrophically different outcomes these two approaches produced when circumstances changed. Every principality he studied generated income. The difference between the princes who survived political upheaval and those who did not was not the size of their revenue, it was what they had done with it. The prince, whose treasury was full because he spent nothing and taxed everything, was perpetually vulnerable. One lost harvest, one disrupted trade route, one military reversal, and the revenue stream that funded everything dried up simultaneously with the emergency that required more funding than usual. The prince who had converted revenue into fortifications, loyal armies, strategic alliances, and stored provisions, who had built structure from flow, survived the same disruptions with his position intact. This is the income-asset distinction documented with 5 centuries of historical verification across every form of political economy Machiavelli could observe. Flow consumed is gone. Flow converted into structure persists. Structure generates its own sustainability over time, requiring progressively less new flow to maintain, because the structure itself provides what new flow used to fund. He devoted his most careful attention in The Prince to the distinction between what fortune gives and what virtue builds. Fortune gives income, the favorable circumstances, the current revenue, the opportunity that present conditions make available. Virtue builds structure. Things that persist after fortune changes things that do not require fortune's continued favor to continue functioning. The prince, dependent on fortune's income, operates in permanent exposure. The prince who has built structure from fortune's gifts operates independently of fortune, not because fortune can no longer harm him, but because the harm fortune can inflict is bounded by the structure that exists independent of fortune's cooperation. Machiavelli watched princes who spent their revenue and needed more. He watched princes who invested their revenue and needed less. He watched the spenders lose when fortune shifted, and the investors survive when fortune shifted. He did not judge them. He studied the mechanism and documented it with the cold precision of someone who understood that the pattern was not moral but structural. His most directly applicable observation: a prince who relies entirely on fortune will fall when fortune shifts. Replace the word fortune with the word income and you have the most accurate, one-sentence summary of the financial fragility of the majority of high earners in any era. Income is fortune. Income shifts. The person who has built nothing but income-dependent lifestyle has built nothing that survives the shift. Machiavelli documented the income-asset distinction 5 centuries before modern finance named it. His conclusion has not changed. Those who convert flow into structure survive disruption. Those who consume flow without building structure do not. The income trap. In practice, 3 profiles of people who earn well and build nothing. Abstract distinctions acquire the weight of reality when they are recognized in specific people. 3 profiles appear consistently enough across high-earning populations to be considered structural patterns rather than individual failures. The first profile is the high earner, with an impressive lifestyle and a near-zero net worth. This person earns $200,000 or more annually. Their lifestyle is visible enough that casual observers would describe them as wealthy. The apartment is in the right neighborhood. The car communicates what it is supposed to communicate. The vacations are photographable. The restaurants are the right restaurants. The balance sheet tells a different story. Total liquid financial assets, excluding retirement accounts that have not been actively managed in years, are negligible relative to income. Consumer debt is present in forms that have been present long enough to feel like the cost of maintaining the life rather than like borrowing. Total net worth, calculated honestly, would surprise the person calculating it in a direction they would prefer not to be surprised. This is the predictable outcome of an income-focused career in an environment designed to convert income into consumption as efficiently as possible. Every raise arrived already spoken for by credit, extended in anticipation of it. Every promotion introduced a social environment that normalized higher spending. The vulnerability is total. One income disruption, a layoff, a health event, an industry contraction, and the entire structure requires immediate rebuilding with no asset base to draw on. The second profile is the perpetual saver who never deploys. This person has done the harder half of asset building extraction from the income stream and cannot complete the second half deployment into assets that generate. Significant cash reserves sit in savings accounts, losing real purchasing power to inflation year after year, while the person searches for a vehicle that feels safe enough to justify the risk. The result is technically positive net worth, functionally zero asset income. and a trajectory that leads to significant savings being eroded by inflation over decades, while the person congratulates themselves for not losing money, which is precisely what they are doing slowly and certainly through the mechanism they believe is protecting them. The third profile is the business owner who is actually an expensive employee. This person technically owns a business. They earn more than they would in equivalent employment. They have the autonomy and identity of ownership. If they stopped working for 3 months, the business stops generating. They are not an owner of an asset. They are the operator of a sophisticated job, the highest paid, least replaceable employee in a company they happen to own. The business has theoretical value, but value that requires the owner's continued involvement to realize, and when sale eventually occurs, buyers discount heavily for the dependency they are being asked to acquire. 3 profiles, 3 different income levels, 3 different apparent relationships with money, 1 shared condition, income without asset architecture, producing financial lives that look different from outside and are functionally identical from inside, dependent on the next income event, without structural generation, without compound mechanism. High income solves a spending problem. It does not solve a wealth problem. The wealth problem requires a different solution, one that most high earners never pursue because the income solution feels sufficient until the day it suddenly isn't. High income is a spending solution dressed as a wealth solution. The person who mistakes one for the other spends their peak earning years building an expensive life instead of a free one.
A toast
Why people stay
to
on
the success of the venture.
2 structural reasons.
A magnificent evening.
The persistence of the income treadmill across intelligent, financially aware people requires an explanation that goes beyond they just didn't know better. 2 structural reasons explain why people who understand the income-asset distinction continue optimizing for income rather than assets. The first structural reason is that the entire system is designed around income, not assets. Every institution a person interacts with daily is organized around income as the primary financial variable. Employers pay it. Banks lend against it. Credit systems extend purchasing power based on it. Tax systems in most jurisdictions primarily tax it. Social status in most environments is signaled through consumption that income generates. The complete infrastructure of daily financial life treats income as the fundamental unit of financial reality. This infrastructure did not assemble itself neutrally. It was built by and continues to serve entities that benefit from income flowing through their systems before reaching the earner. Employers extracting labor value above compensation, cost lenders collecting interest on the gap between income and assets, retailers converting income into consumption. Asset building is structurally marginalized, not prohibited, not impossible, simply not the default around which any of these systems are organized. The person who wants to build assets must opt out of the income-first default deliberately and repeatedly, against the continuous pressure of every system around them, pushing back toward income consumption. Most people never make this deliberate opt-out because the system never presents them with a clear, immediate, socially reinforced alternative. The second structural reason is that asset returns are invisible while income spending is immediate. Upgrading an apartment produces an immediate, visible, socially communicable return, better living environment experienced daily. Status signal visible to the social network, identity upgrade that is felt and registered in real time. Deploying the same capital into a financial asset produces a delayed, invisible, non-status communicable return. A number on a statement that arrives quarterly. A compound curve that looks flat for years before it inflects. Human psychology calibrated by evolution for immediate reward detection systematically underweights delayed invisible returns relative to immediate visible ones. The person who consistently chooses consumption over asset investment is not making an irrational choice by the metric their brain is using. They are making a rational choice by the wrong metric, and the wrong metric is embedded in every social signal, every institutional structure, and every dopamine response in the environment around them. People stay on the income treadmill not because they are lazy or uninformed, but because the system is organized to keep them there, and the psychological rewards of the treadmill arrive faster than the rewards of the exit. The treadmill is not a trap you fall into. It is the default, and defaults require deliberate structural intervention to escape, not motivation. The conversion architecture. 6 steps from income chaser to asset builder. Conversion from income chaser to asset builder is not a motivational transformation. It is a structural one, specific, sequential changes to how money moves through a financial life, automated wherever possible to remove the dependency on willpower that makes most financial intentions unsustainable. Step 1. Establish the extraction rate. Before any investment decision, determine the fixed percentage of every income event that leaves the spending pool entirely and enters the asset building pool, not the amount that remains after expenses, the percentage extracted before spending decisions are made, before the money enters the domain where lifestyle and hedonic adaptation and social pressure operate. 20% is the minimum that produces meaningful compound effect over relevant timelines. The specific number matters less than its non-negotiability. This percentage does not adjust for the expensive month, the unexpected obligation, the social pressure that felt unavoidable. It executes on every income event. The mechanism that converts income into asset-building capital must be more durable than monthly motivation. Step 2. Eliminate asset imposters from the portfolio. Apply the functional test to everything currently called an asset. Does this generate income without requiring my presence? The primary residence fails. The car fails. The expensive equipment purchased for personal use fails. This does not require selling everything that fails the test. It requires stopping the practice of counting things that fail the test as wealth-building assets. Clear accounting produces clear decisions. The person who honestly assesses their asset position and finds it smaller than they believed is in a better position than the person who continues operating from a flattering fiction. Step 3. Choose one asset category and go deep. The common error at this stage is spreading small capital across every available asset category simultaneously. The result is insufficient position in any category to generate meaningful return management complexity that produces decision fatigue and the illusion of diversification without the substance of it. Choose the single category most aligned with current skills, time availability, and capital level. Build a real position in that category before diversifying. Concentration at low capital levels produces better outcomes than diversification at low capital levels, because concentration in the right place produces real return, and real return produces the capital base from which diversification eventually makes sense. Step 4. Automate the conversion. Asset building that requires a fresh decision each month will fail. Not because the person is undisciplined, because human psychology is susceptible to reasonable exceptions, and reasonable exceptions at sufficient frequency are indistinguishable from abandoned intentions. Automation removes the monthly decision from human judgment and places it into mechanical process. The mechanism works independent of motivation, which is the only mechanism that remains operational across the multi-decade timeline that asset building requires. Step 5. Measure net worth instead of income. Change the primary financial metric. Income is what most people track. Income is the wrong metric if asset building is the goal, because income can double, while net worth stagnates, and stagnating net worth is invisible when income is the number being measured. Net worth, total value of assets minus total liabilities, tracks actual progress toward financial freedom. The person earning $200,000 with $50,000 in net worth is financially weaker than the person earning $80,000 with $500,000 in net worth. The income metric hides this. The net worth metric reveals it. Step 6. Reinvest asset returns into more assets. When assets generate returns, returns enter the asset pool, not the spending pool. This is the compound mechanism activating. First, returns are small, too small to meaningfully change lifestyle anyway. Reinvesting small returns produces second-order returns. Each cycle builds the asset base that the next cycle compounds. The person who breaks reinvestment discipline once resets the compound calculation for that capital permanently. The lifestyle upgrade costs not just the capital used, it costs every future return that capital would have generated. Extract before spending. Audit what you already have. Concentrate before diversifying. Automate the mechanism. Measure what actually matters. Reinvest what returns. 6 steps. 1 destination, the point at which your assets generate enough to cover your life and the income. Treadmill becomes optional rather than mandatory. The conversion from income chaser to asset builder does not require more money. It requires a different decision about what money is for, made consistently, automated wherever possible, and measured by the only metric that reflects actual progress. The game changes the moment you decide it does. Return to the person at the beginning of this essay. The raise that changed nothing. The upgraded apartment. The better car. The nicer restaurants. The identical savings rate 18 months later. That person is not a failure. That person is the default outcome of a system that was designed from every angle to produce exactly that result. Every institution they interacted with was organized around income as the primary financial variable. Every social signal around them rewarded consumption and rendered asset building invisible. Every psychological mechanism they carried made immediate visible reward feel more real than delayed invisible return. They did not stumble into that outcome through poor judgment. They arrived at it through the precise operation of every system and mechanism surrounding them. Systems that were never designed for their financial benefit. Understanding this is not an excuse. It is a diagnosis. And diagnosis matters because the treatment for systemic pressure is different from the treatment for personal weakness. Personal weakness requires motivation. Systemic pressure requires structural countermeasures, extraction rates, automation, different metrics, concentrated deployment, reinvestment discipline, things that work independent of motivation because they are built into the mechanics of how money moves rather than into the fragile architecture of monthly willpower. The income will not save you, the raise will not save you, the bonus will not save you, the promotion will not save you, not because these things are valueless, but because they are flow, and flow that does not fill the container disappears. Build the container first. Then the flow fills it. Then the container overflows. Then the overflow builds the next container. That is the sequence. That has always been the sequence. Machiavelli wrote that the wise prince does not spend time mourning the resources he lacks. He builds structural advantages from the resources he has, however inadequate those resources may seem relative to the task. The person who waits for sufficient income to begin building assets is waiting for a condition that the income treadmill is specifically designed never to provide. Sufficient income for lifestyle always arrives just before sufficient income for asset building. That is not coincidence. It is the system working as intended. The game changes the moment the decision changes, not before, not eventually, not when circumstances finally align. The container gets built when someone decides to build it. Every month of deciding otherwise is a month the compound mechanism runs in the wrong direction, accumulating cost rather than generating return. You do not need more income. You need a different decision about what to do with the income you already have. That decision made once and automated starts a process that income alone has never been able to start. The game changes the moment you stop playing the income game and start playing the asset game. Not before. Exactly then.